Straight after the 1983 election, as a new MP, I attended the post-election rally in Spennymoor Town Hall. We had lost by a landslide, worse than in 1979, since when there had been a deep recession. The Labour Party had been monumentally rejected. The rally was entitled Lessons from Defeat, which appeared to indicate people wanted to learn lessons. The platform consisted of me as the local MP, Dennis Skinner, a standard bearer of the far left at the time, and various assorted union people. Only a complete ingenue, a total clot, i.e. me, could have thought it was going to be a balanced, frank debate. As the local MP, I was to speak first, and gave a logical, rational, and though I say it myself, entirely accurate analysis of why Labour lost and the lessons we should draw. I really quite warmed to my theme. Labour had lost touch. It had failed to spot how society had changed. I had two lines I was rather proud of. One was about Labour's attitudes being from the era of black and white TV. The other was about the party simply repeating old adages learned on your grandparents' knees, or some such. Even I could tell it wasn't exactly going down a storm, but in those days I had everything written out and didn't have the facility of adjusting mid-speech. Those were my thoughts, I wrote them down, I read them out. I finished to a smattering of applause from the few supporters John Burton had brought along. The rest folded their arms, in unison, their faces grimacing as if 1,000 lemons had been forced down their throats. Dennis got to his feet. Still in unison, their arms unfolded, and their faces began to smirk in eager anticipation. They knew what was coming. I didn't. Back then, Dennis was your original firebrand. He was also a genius at a particular type of left-wing rally speech. He was in his element. There's nothing quite like being utterly and publicly humiliated for teaching you a lesson. The meeting learned very few lessons, and those the wrong ones, from Labour's defeat. But I learned one big one from Dennis that day. "So," he began, "your new MP, supposed to be a Labour MP, whose experience in Labour politics up to now includes Durham Choir School, Fettes College, Edinburgh, the Eton of Scotland, I'm told, not that I know," much laughter and applause, "St John's College, Oxford," said with an especial sneer, "and the bar," here applause, "and that's not the one you buy a pint in," uproarious outburst of laughter, "but one full of lawyers," pantomime hisses. "Your new Labour MP thinks our grandparents didn't know what they were talking about, that it's time we disowned them, that now is the moment when we tell them, many of whom never owned so much as a wireless, never mind a black and white TV, that they don't belong in Thatcher's Britain." Looks of horror on faces of audience. "Well, let me tell you, Anthony Charles Linton Blair," my full name rather unfortunately printed several times in the course of the Beaconsfield by-election. "My grandparents were poor, it's true. Were humble folk, I admit it. Were, I dare say, a little old-fashioned in their principles of loyalty and solidarity. But they were decent people and proud of being working class." These last words rose to a crescendo, accompanied by an eruption of applause, cheers, and general favour to a degree that fairly lifted the roof off the place. After that, the speakers got up one by one, and you never heard so many heart-rending tales of the fortitude, heroism, and near-divine decency of grandparents. Without ever quite being explicit, there were dark insinuations that maybe my own grandparentage had been of the landed gentry, possibly even the mine-owning sort, whose adages they could only imagine, but were, no doubt, along the lines of grinding the faces of the poor into the dust. As I staggered out, with people avoiding eye contact and scurrying past me like I was diseased, my then-agent, George Ferguson, put an arm round me. "Don't worry," he said. "You were the only one in there talking any sense, and I'm as working class as any of them." "He's right," said John, "but in future, learn to say it better." I did.